This week on Coastal News, baby Archie is delivered, and after a change of heart and a very special gift, Tane is allowed to see him. Kirby loses her job whilst a journalist is watching on. Theo is delivered a crushing blow from Gage as Sonny's attempts to save him from danger simply aren't good enough, and Cash and Eden are pre-engaged.
Oh, my beautiful baby boy.
For my beautiful baby boy, this is your karae, a treasure from your whānau.
Family.
It will remind you of where you're from and of your connection to your tribe, your hapu. Your middle name, Wiramu, comes from your uncle. He was a good and strong man. I know this will be a true part of you too. And your mother. She is the strongest person I know and will always do what's right for you. Like your karae, she'll wrap you in love and protect you until her dying breath. And so will I.
We are Si and Sophie. This is Coastal News, a home and away podcast, your weekly episode companion podcast for your favourite Aussie soap.
Have you seen a spanner, Sophie?
I'm not really around spanners very often, but I have seen a few in my time, yes.
You're not seeing one eating lasagna anywhere, no?
His mum's lasagna. No, that made me laugh, that did. Enjoy that, Edmund. I was like, oh, Cash. I love a bit of angry Cash. It's great.
Do you know, I was watching it and just thought, I just know, I can just sense Sophie's arousal at this scene.
It was funny. It was like, I don't know whether you remember, but I don't know when it was, maybe last year, the year before, I can't remember. When I said to you, like, I'm really disappointed with Cash. This was when, I wasn't a massive fan of Cash because he was kind of boring back then. It was the Jasmine era.
Yeah.
And he didn't really get many lines. And I said to you, didn't I? I said, Nicholas Cartwright is really funny. Like, his Instagram, when he puts stuff on, he doesn't go on there very often, but when he does, he's got a really dry sense of humour and he really makes me laugh. And that is coming out in Cash, and that's what I asked for a couple of years ago. So I'm just really happy that we're getting this because he has got that dry. Even this week with Eden, there was a couple of lines that made me laugh. You know what I mean? Like that kind of dry sense of humour. It's really funny. That's my kind of.
Yeah. Did you see his latest Instagram
post? I did.
About like warning people off the fakes.
I did. Bless him. It was like, I don't want to marry you, and I was like, damn it. Damn it!
I've just wired out my deposit for the dress.
I'm just inviting my family.
Did you get that check I sent you for the flights? I tell you who my favourite is for that. It's Shane Withington, John.
Oh.
Did you see? Someone's been posting that his wife's pregnant at 71. Have you seen? Honestly, they're my favourite. Well, he's only gone and posted it. What did he? I can't remember what he put.
Oh,
but I think he reposted. Hang on, I'm gonna have to look because it was so funny.
He reposted it. I've seen the one of Ethan Brown on TikTok that you sent me, where he's got like an American accent and it's blatantly AI, and he's like, I love my fans. They're so awesome. Awesome. I love all my fans. I was like, that's not his voice. But people are falling for it because they're commenting, going, we love you, Ethan. And I'm like, he doesn't sound like that in real life.
Crazy, isn't it? It's scary,
you
really.
watch 5 hours of Home and Away a week or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
this is how these people, and you wonder how people fall for these scams. That's how. Here we go. He's reposted it. Shock. Home and Away star Shane Withington's co-star wife pregnant with son at 71.
Co-star
and then he's replied, "Oh well, I'm off to paint the nursery."
laugh about it because I don't think I'd find it funny if it was me. You know what I mean? But
He's followed it up with, seems I'm making everybody pregnant.
you still got it. Still got it. Oh dear.
Mhm. Yeah. I was home and away for you this week, Soph.
Oh,
Still
loving-
riding high.
Loving this week. Loving the fact that, I'm still wanting more. On the Friday, it was still a bit of a cliffhanger, and I was still like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not over this. Give me more. Hurry up.
I know.
So yeah, no, it's been good. How about you?
Yeah, same. Because I think it's just the pacing. It's we're still interested in stuff that's going on. Yeah, and the fallout from baby birth rumbles on. And yeah, I'm gripped still. There's no signs of it slowing down yet. And normally the sort of peaks and the troughs and these stories, like we've normally got the trough by now. Yeah, it's very well knitted together at the minute. Like we're starting the week running about, we're coming into Monday's episode. We've been gasping since Friday, and by the end of the week, we're gasping about something else at the minute. I say it's been like that for a good 6-8 weeks since before Queensland, I'd say.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, we're having a good run at the moment, aren't we? Wonder what's going to happen next.
No. I'm thinking how many characters are left.
Oh,
But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So yes, like you, I'm just like, is that it? The week's just steaming through the week, because I'm just like, the episodes are over before I know.
I know. Well, tonight's, I hadn't seen tonight's before. Like, I watched it at 6:30, fresh, and it got to the end, and I was like, "Is that it? Like, is that half an hour? Was that it?"
Yeah.
I had to check the time. I was like, "I'm not ready for it to end. I need more. I genuinely need more."
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think it's because there's no filler at the minute.
No.
Like, all the episodes are really dense and packed with stuff going on. I think that's what it is. It's over in the blink of an eye, because you're not sitting through, what is filler.
Yeah.
Or treading water, shall we say. Like, everyone's up to stuff.
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
very dense episodes. The only way I can describe that. Shall we do it? Shall we talk about it?
Yes.
So, Rue and Maz are bickering in the diner this week as the baby birth drama unfolds elsewhere in the bush. Rue can't get through to Eliza, can she? Everyone knows that baby's en route. And Levi and Tane have gone legging it up there, and no one can get through to Eliza. And that's the only person they know is with, what's she called? Harper.
Harper.
She's already at the back of my mind. So next thing, we cut to this reserve, don't we, the bush, and Levi and Tane are trying to help her deliver this blinking baby out in the middle of nowhere. Snakes. Tane calls to chase this ambulance up, and you're like, "Ooh, come on," because of course we know Eliza made this up. He does learn that, or does he learn? It's a bit ambiguous, isn't it? Like, whether he learns that it wasn't originally requested or not. And he doesn't seem to then double down when things calm down. He doesn't seem to sort of double down and question that further.
No. No, I
but
feel like that's been lost, actually, which is a shame, because I'm waiting for that to come back.
Crucial plot point, right? Crucial plot point. Whether it's just because the whole drama then of, like, he's not, Harper collapses at the hospital later, he's not then forbidden to see the baby. Maybe it's just been pushed back, because there's just an immediate problem at the minute.
Yeah.
But you would have thought that would have raised a bigger flag to him. Doesn't seem to, though. What do you think of this? Because Eliza's supposedly dead phone is then used to film this blinking birth.
Yes. So that's also something she can get caught out on really easily. Like, there's been 2 lies, hasn't there? First of all, my phone's dead. I can't call an ambulance for you. Okay, use my phone. And then, okay, I've called an ambulance, but no, you haven't. And Harper has got the evidence then, because it's her phone that she supposedly called the ambulance on. So all they've got to do is look in the call history and see that there was no call made. So these are 2 really, like, easily found out lies that she's told, and yet it seems like we've left this. I'm hoping we come back to this next week because we've left the story this week, haven't we? Really. So I'm hoping we circle back to this next week and this kind of rears its head, because Levi kind of complimented her, didn't he, and said you handled it really well. And I thought, based on what evidence?
Yeah, and no, you're right, and he's drawing that conclusion without questioning the scenario, or questioning why the ambulance didn't and we were all counting on Levi as a medical professional to really blow the lid, weren't we? I think we have to revisit it next week, Sophie. I think we have to. Rue knows about the video, shown this video to Rue, and doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. Rue has obviously told her, hasn't she, you need to, own up to this, and turn this in or delete. She asks her to delete it, but she refuses. It's only a matter of time. Is Rue starting to smell the coffee, though? Or do you think she's going to carry on defending this behaviour? Do you think this is a stretch too far for even Rue?
I don't know.
Can you see those signs?
I really don't understand Rue's mentality. I mean, she did have a go at Harper this week a couple of times, didn't she? Like, you shouldn't have filmed it. You should have asked for permission. Delete it. And then Mr. Stewart kind of snapped at her at dinner, didn't? Because she kept banging on about scars and C-sections, and Alf's there trying to eat his bloody steak and chips or whatever at Salt. And he was like, pack it in, for God's sake, girl. Give us a minute. So, and then she's kind of snipped at her a couple of times. I think she can see it. I think she's starting to see it. But whether she's admitting it to herself, I don't know. I don't trust Rue to not just bury her head in the sand, and because when she talks about Marilyn, and she's like, "Oh, Marilyn's so judgmental, and Marilyn's like decided about her already," and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, she's not the only one. First of all, she's always constantly picking on Marilyn and saying how it's Marilyn saying this, that, and the other about Eliza. But Marley said it to her. Tane said it to her. Mr. Stewart said it to her. It's not just Marilyn that's had reservations about Eliza. And also, the evidence is there. She smacks someone in the face. Then she tried to bottle him the week later. There's
maybe that, maybe that'll make her double down, like you're saying, because she just just to save face.
Yeah,
she's got to admit to so many people that she's wrong. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I don't trust her. Do you think Did you think this week that she was coming round to the idea that Marilyn might have a point?
I did, but I couldn't differentiate the feeling whether she was actually starting to see it, or whether it was just me wanting it so bad.
Yes.
That.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
I couldn't quite differentiate which it was, because I'm still a bit confused by it all, to be honest. So we're back at the hospital, as we say. Harper's collapsing, and she's got to have this operation, hasn't she, that we didn't plan on her having to have. As a result of this horrendous birth that she's just had. I mean, fair play to her. It was a heck of a birth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh God, I had heartburn for days. I think I was exhausted, so.
She did a really good job, didn't she? Because it did make me wince, and I did kind of like push my knees together at a couple of points. I was like, "Oh no, this is awful." So
and this was all like 3 episodes. She was giving birth, like it felt like a long time. And so she's had this surgery. Now, when she comes round, she's decided that Tane, throughout the whole thing, she's been letting him cuddle her, hold her, kiss her forehead. They've given birth to their baby. Archie's here, and he's in the room, and he's part of it, something that she was adamant wasn't going to happen. And after the surgery, she comes round, and he's there, and she kicks him out, doesn't she? She completely does a Yui on it and kicks him out of the hospital. Absolutely crushes him, doesn't it? He's back at home, and he's all forlorn. Mac's not happy, and she's actually in Dana's ear this week. And we were a bit confused about this on first look, if you cast your mind back last week when we read about Mac and Tane. We're like, Mac and Dana having scenes and not seeing eye to eye. Mac is asking Dana to say something to Harper. And Dana's saying, hang on a minute, it's her baby, it's her choice.
Mm.
We need to just respect it and stay out of it. And I was on here last week saying, things need a bit of time when things are so heated like this. The pressure of the baby coming right after the whole wedding jilting thing. There's not been any time for anyone to process and just calm down.
Yeah.
And I felt like her kicking Tani out was still part of that, and she just needed time. And I felt like my gut was Mac was being a bit. I know she's looking out for Tani, and that's a friend, but I did feel. And I did feel sorry for Tani, as well. I felt a lot of things, clearly. But Mac was out of line, I thought.
Yeah, I came down on the same side as you. I thought that at least give it a day. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If you think about Harper, like, she's had an absolutely horrendous week. She's just called off her wedding. Then she's supposed to have this very scheduled, very routine, very safe C-section in the hospital, all planned out. No, that didn't happen. She had a horrible birth. She was absolutely terrified that either she would die or the baby would die. She was with Eliza, of all people, like the last person you'd want to be with when you're in labour, and also high-risk labour as well. Awful. Like, she must have been absolutely terrified. Then she's relieved to see Tane. But like you say, he's all over her. Like, he's kissing her and he's holding her hand and he's like saying she's amazing and whatever. And like, that's going to mess with your head. Your ex kissing you and telling you you're amazing is going to mess with your head. He's not in love with her. She knows this. He's told her to her face, I don't love you. And yet he's acting like that with her while she's in horrendous pain and terrified that her baby's going to die or she's going to die. Like, her head is all over the place. And then, not only that, she gets to the hospital where she's finally safe, or thinks she is, but no, she hemorrhages and she has another operation. And then, she wakes up after all of that and sees him, and I can't imagine the emotions that must flood into your brain at that point.
Yeah.
So,
and she's hurting at the crux of it, isn't she, as well?
So I just thought with Mac, I mean, just put yourself in her shoes just for a second and go, she's had an absolutely horrific 24 hours. Maybe I'll take my beef home with me and come back tomorrow when she's had a sleep and she's had time to bond with the baby, and then say, do you know what? I think Tane, is feeling a bit cut out, a bit left out, or whatever she wanted to say. But not as soon as she's woken up from surgery. I thought that was out of order.
Yeah. Yeah, I am glad, because I felt like I didn't know what to fit. Just everything was going on, and I was a bit like, am I being too critical of her? And I thought, or am I being too one-sided? Am I siding with Harper more than I should do and things? And I thought, no, do you know what? All you can do as an audience member is think, what would I do?
Yeah.
And I just cannot ever see myself pushing that like Mac did so soon.
No, not to someone that's had that kind of, week.
Yeah.
It's horrendous.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that what she did was right. I'm not saying that Harper was right to say Tane couldn't be involved with the baby, because I don't necessarily agree with that, but I understand why she did it, and I've got empathy for her decision, and her, like I say, her head must be just a mess. So anyone with any empathy would be able to see that and just go, right, I'm not going to push this today. I'll come back tomorrow, or I'll come back, a couple of days.
Yeah, now's not the time. Like, let's just and then go and be with Tane, and try and reassure of the same thing. Look, she's just remind yourself what she's been through. Just and reassure him that it is going to just be time. I mean, she does visit him, doesn't she? But what was your? Because obviously you're an ardent with Tane these days, right? Did you feel anything with Tane when he went home crushed and sat in his room for 3 days and wouldn't come out?
I did start to feel bad for him, because, like I say, I don't necessarily agree with what Harper did. I understand why she's doing it, but I don't necessarily think it's a good idea. I do think, that's the dad. He's excited to see the baby being born, and he's been a terrible boyfriend, but he's been a good dad to the baby so far, in terms of like showing up and what have you, and being there for when she needs him for stuff. So I don't think it's necessarily right that he doesn't see the baby. But my empathy with Tane went away quite quickly with the letter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me. Do
And
tell.
I know, and I feel really bad because I've been looking at comments online, and everyone's gone mad about this letter. Everyone's gone about how they were crying and it was so emotional, because
Yeah.
he wrote this letter and he sent the I can't pronounce it, Karawai, is it, or something?
Karawai, yeah.
I can't pronounce that. I'm terrible. So he
Yeah.
sent that to the hospital with
I've
Mac.
spelt it on my notes phonetical.
And it was a lovely letter. Don't get me wrong, it was a lovely letter, but Tane is not an emotional person. Tane has not put any emotion into their relationship. And then all of a sudden, he writes this letter and he gives Harper a compliment for probably the first time I've heard him ever compliment her, and say all these nice, mushy things in this letter. And Max saying, you have to open it today. It just felt like manipulation. It felt like
I can see that.
Harper's really tired and she's really emotional. Her hormones are absolutely raging. And then she gets this letter that she has to open today, and it's all mushy, and it's all like us, a family, cute, mushy stuff. And I was like, this is manipulation. It's not him kicking off and saying, how dare you not let me see my child. It's him being like, here's all the things that you like about me and why you fell in love with me. I'm just reminding you of it, but I don't love you. And I felt a bit sick for her when I read that. Well, when she read that, yeah, I don't know. How did you think?
It gets the desired effect, though, doesn't it? It gets access.
But Tane gets what Tane wants, which is what you've said for a couple of years now. So, yeah. What did you think?
I knew he wouldn't. I knew Tane wouldn't be put in the corner for long. Put it that way. When it comes to the right thing. So, I do see what you're saying, because actually you lay it out, objective facts, right? He gets sent away, shunned away, which he knew was a possibility. In fact, that was his reality. If she didn't go for that walk with Eliza, he wouldn't have been there, period.
True.
Right? And that was something he was already having to accept, and did tell Harper he was going to accept that, that he wasn't going to be at the birth. He was working on it, wasn't he? But, where we were up to, it was day before birth, he wasn't going to be there, right? The only thing that changed was immortal danger from snakes and birth things. So
snakes. You and snakes.
he ended up there by accident, right? So even though it's hurtful, he shouldn't really expect her to do a U-turn just because she nearly died. Doesn't change what he's been like with her, And I get that, and I do see the manipulation argument in the letter, because it is so soon. He's been sent off, tail between his legs. This letter, this present, this gift was prepared and ready to go. He was already planning on using it as his trick up his sleeve, if you ask me. I get it, but I was swept up in the moment. It was a beautiful letter. He said some nice things. Harper fell for it, and so did I. I was a bit swept up in it. Yeah. I must say.
It was a lovely letter, and I think it's a lovely letter to have for the baby when the baby's grown up and can, read it, and they talk about the birth and they talk about what, but I think right now in the moment I feel like it's just manipulating a woman that's in love with you to get what you want.
It feels that way, and there might be some context we can apply to it from the Maori culture. Yes. Like, this is what you do, and that's why it has to be on birthday, but like ceremonious, like almost, isn't it? You're this letter and you present this to the baby. It's ceremony, really, is what it is, isn't it?
It's the day after he was born, though, isn't it? Because she had the operation overnight, and then he got sent home the next morning. So I don't know.
What's the significance of the speed then?
Yeah, I wish they'd spelled that out, because I feel like that was something that maybe if you live in Australia or New Zealand, maybe why it needed to be open today. But honestly, when Max said you need to open this present today, I thought it was food, Si. I was like, oh, it's perishable. It's going to be cake.
Shelf life.
It's a cake or a cookie or something. And then when she opened it, I was like, oh, it's not anything edible at all. Like, I was kind of disappointed. I was expecting a cake. I'm just like, I love cake. So send me cake. Anybody listening here, send me cake. Yeah, that's what I want. I don't want a korowai, whatever the word is. I want cake in a box. You send me cake in a box, bless you.
Yes. Done a couple of times now, yeah.
You have, yeah. I appreciate it.
You opened this today. I'll have to put notes on it next time.
I'm open to cake manipulation any day.
How do you think I've got you to stay here and do so many episodes? It was all to kind of regular phrase of mine now, a hot mess, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I tell you what, Dana in that moment, because Dana, ended up taking over the letter readout, didn't she?
That was a good choice. That was a good choice.
It was. But I felt like she could have gone more, because up until that point, I was really happy with Dana. Those lines when she was having this argument with Mac about it and this rat-a-tat, she actually blatantly says Tane wanted a family at any cost. Like, Dana was our voice.
Yeah,
she was saying everything to a character in universe that we've been screaming on here week in, week out.
But she said
and
it
I thought,
Mac. She didn't say it to Harper.
This is what I'm saying. During that letter moment, she could have gone further and said a bit of that.
I don't know whether she would. I think she felt safe to say that to Mac because Mac knows as well. But Harper's still
interesting.
Harper's still in love with this guy, and I think it's really hard. Imagine if you've got a sister or a best friend or something, and you're trying to say something nasty about the person they're in love with. They're not going to hear it.
No, that's true. Yeah, you're right.
And you're just going to shoot yourself in the foot because they're gonna not like you because you've said something about the person that they think is amazing. But I know what you mean. But I think her reading the letter out it was much better than Harper reading it out. I don't think it would have had, even though I found it manipulating, it was emotional, and I don't think it would have had the same impact if Harper had read it. I think Dana reading it was a really good choice.
Okay, yeah, okay, I hear you. I'll backtrack. Zip, zip, get back in the clubbers. Yeah.
No, it's just my opinion, but like.
No, you've convinced me. Because when on first watching it, I was like, could she have taken that opportunity to speak to her? But
it would have actually an argument, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah, that's it. And she did say to Mac herself, "We need to stay out of it." So she did stick to her word. To be fair to her,
she did.
So there we go. Right, tempo overload. The only country's biggest music magazine have agreed to follow Kirby around for the day, and she's not got any music. She's unheard of. She's unsigned, but they're doing it anyway. So Mullet turns up.
Oh, what was his name? Can't remember his name. It's gone out
I don't know. She was a Mullet online.
Can't remember his name. I liked him. Was it Brandon or something? I can't remember.
I liked him as well. He was a bit spunky, wasn't he?
He was funny. I thought he was quite quirky and cool. I quite liked him.
I did. He's in the right industry, like a creative one, and he was a creative-looking type. He was like, "Oh, come on, I don't get out of bed for nothing." I know. I did like it when he was like, "Is this all you do?" Lessons.
Hello, she's got the most boring life ever. Like I was saying to you, wasn't I? These pieces in Rolling Stone magazine, when they follow a rock star around for the day, it's endearing because you find out that this person that you idolize has got like a normal side. Like they put the bins out and they go shopping and they cook, and they do normal things that we all do. Kirby's not a rock star. She does this. Normal life is her life.
Yeah.
I don't understand this at all. But I did like
Kirby
Mullet
knows.
Guy.
Yeah, I like Mullet, but Kirby knows that she's not got a lot going on because what she does is makes Marley switch. I'll do all the lessons, like make it look like I'm really busy and got loads going on. I'll do it all, show off on the beach, the backdrop of Palm Beach and all the rest of it. And then, then she ends up, she messes Marley about all day long. And this is important because it obviously ends up simmering and exploding. She swaps it back, doesn't she? And she ditches it. She never runs it by Marley. Marley finds out this is happening when it's happening, and she just tells him this is happening, and she's unapologetic about it and then just goes ahead anyway. And then at the end of the day, she's in the board shop. He's talking to her, he's asking her questions, he's mentioning the board designs. She then ends up sort of letting out, I don't know why, whether it was a moment of madness. She just explained that it just happened. You know, she was trying to impress him.
Yeah.
I think she knew that she didn't have a lot going on.
Mm.
And that is why she sort of took credit for some of Marley's boards. She's obviously dissing the job, you know, it's a dead-end job. It's, you know, I'm not seeing myself working in. Marley overhears it and says, "Get it! You're fired!" Goes all sugar on her and fires her. And in front of the journo.
Mm.
So then you're like, oh God, what's he going to write? Plowing ahead with it though, isn't he? So we don't know yet. But could this illustrious career that she wants be over before it's begun now? Shot herself in the foot.
Yeah, possibly. We don't know what kind of angle he's going to go for, do we?
I don't think it'll be sympathetic. It's going to, like I said to you, it'll be like, you know, Muso loses his job. Struggling artist, jobless, penniless, takes faith in music and dream. I don't know.
I don't know.
Who knows?
It can't be good. Whatever's going to happen, I don't think it's going to be a good thing.
No, and whatever happens, we're not buying it anyway, are we? We won't be at the gig.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Eden trying on her engagement ring this week. That's been bubbling away, hasn't it? And Cash catches her. "What you doing?" he says. He was like, you didn't hear him arrive. He was just like, must have been floating.
That's the cop thing. It's like stealth mode activated.
Yeah, thought he's on a magic carpet. Didn't hear him come in. He's just levitating through. What you doing? She manages to get out of the house quick enough and freaking out without explaining what she was up to. Bumps into Remy and he's like, why have you still got the ring on? Like, for starters, I'm like, yeah, she just ran. When Cash tracks her down, he says to her, "Look, it's just a ring." And just like, give it a bone, people. She's finally on your page, Cash, man. Ask her about it. She struggled to get, you know, she's been reading you stressed about that, you know, Tane and all, being there for him, and she's finally there. Join the dots, please, Cash. You know, there was a champagne by the fire pit last week. She's trying on the ring this week. She's just generally happy, you know, skipping to and from work. You know, is he that preoccupied?
He's a man. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that in front of you, but
needs it spelling out.
Yes. I don't want to be offensive, but yeah, he's the kind of guy that you, although he's a cop and stuff, I don't think in his personal life he's always as clued up as he needs to be. You know, he misses a lot of the clues. Yeah.
Well, you're right, because Kirby, God, not Kirby. Eden has to say to him, "I'm ready to wear it again, Cash." And he's elated. He's like, "Oh, okay."
These were funny scenes, though. I enjoyed the scenes that led up to this conversation. You know, when we're at the coffee cart and she's wearing the ring.
Yeah.
And she's talking to Bree and Remy, and she's like, "Oh, I'm an idiot." And Remy's like, "Yes," and Bree's like, "No, you're not."
At the same, and then they look at each other.
Yeah, and then Remy's like, "Okay, yeah, maybe we need some context to why you think you're an idiot right now," but he blatantly thinks that she's just an idiot regardless.
That's just their friendship, though, isn't it?
It's so funny, and you know, I love the fact that she kind of threatens violence on him all the time, like, "I'm going to smother you in your sleep," because he's texting Cash under the table, going, "She's at the coffee cart. Come here and get her," you know.
Yeah,
put two and two together, mate.
There's so much comedy in the script.
I love it. I actually really like the light.
Blink and you miss it.
Yeah, because there was a really funny scene, and I don't know whether anyone else found this funny, but because I like Cash's sense of humor, where he sat down at the coffee cart with her and he goes, "Oh, there's the ring. Like, I was about to report that missing. Have you got anything to say for yourself?" He was like almost questioning her, like a cop questioning a jewel thief, you know. So, tell me where you were at the incident when the ring went missing. Were you involved or whatever? And then he was like, "I'm really sorry, that was a joke," And I was crying laughing because I was like, "This is funny cash." I love funny cash. I love dry funny cash.
Yeah, and it's nice that these as a serious policeman, and he just got his sergeant role back. It's nice that he's actually not gone straight laced, and he's actually fun.
But then he's got like work cash is very serious. Like the Riverboy stuff this week was very serious, and he was like, "You're a serious face." And then with her, he's like, pulling her leg, and I quite like that. I think these two have got good chemistry. I really like them as a couple.
I do. And and remember the thought of them getting back together filled me with dread.
Yes,
when it looked like that's where we were going,
and I couldn't wait.
Look at me now, eating my words.
I was like, "Bring it on! I don't care, just bring it on!" Yeah.
And I was like, "I don't think I can do this again." Yeah. Eating my words now because I'm actually. You're right. It fits. It works.
Yeah.
And it works even better that they had that massive obstacle after Felicity's death.
Yeah.
It's been a heck of a year for them, and look where they are now.
Yes.
Right. So he's going to do it on his own time. He's going to surprise her. So just, we're all waiting to be jump scared by a ring now.
I'm waiting to be swept off my feet. Come on. Sweep me. No matter what he says on Instagram about how he doesn't contact his fans, he doesn't want to marry us. I don't believe any of that. Come on. I want to be swept.
And I don't know how to react. So we're going to move on to the next. I'm like, is sweep a metaphor? Anyway.
Yeah.
She's not even hiding it.
Oh, dear.
Sonny's checking in with Theo that things are done with him and Lacey this week. This is where stuff gets juicy. It turns out Theo's planning a future with her. he's got kids and a white picket fence and all sorts in mind here, hasn't he?
She just screams family wife material, doesn't she?
Yeah. And if you didn't see that, where were you looking?
She wants the white picket fence and 2.4 children. She wants the SUV. She wants to drive the kids to school and soccer practice on a Sunday.
And bake pie.
You can tell, it's all there. It's all there in the script. I could see it. He's so delulu. It's so funny.
I know. And naive, you name it.
Bless.
Now, Sonny's like, "Come on, man, you can't be that dumb." And Gage arrives just as Theo's saying goodbye to Lacey. Now, we all know that Gage saw them embracing in his car last week, swapping spit. They were.
Gross.
And he did nothing about it. And that worried us, didn't it, on last week's podcast? Yeah. And worry is it should. Because he doesn't let on that he knows something. So we know that something bad is coming for either one of them. Or both. Now, whilst Gage is talking to Sonny, she sneaks away and she's sneaking these off moments with Theo, isn't she? Now, she does tell him that, look, he's being a bit clingy at the minute. He's all over me. I think he knows something. He's like, "I want us to be together." And she's like, "I thought you knew what this was." Like, you idiot, I think at this stage, I was just thinking to myself, he probably deserves this now for being so stupid about this whole thing and thinking that this was going to go anywhere. And he knows who they are. Like, Sonny would have an excuse, as we said last week. If you're making me choose, I choose Gage, she says, obviously. She's living in fear of everything, isn't she? Amongst other things. She's trapped there. She's scared, Now, Sonny later overhears Gage and Lacey talking and works out that Gage knows maybe that something's going on. He's starting to piece things together, isn't he, Sonny, at this point? And then we see Theo is summoned to the River Boys under the pretense of there being a race that he can take part in. However, it quickly becomes apparent that he's been summoned there for other reasons, and he's getting a bit scared, isn't he? They're at this remote garage, I would say. Gage is saying we need to discuss some stuff. I mean, one of them's driven off with his car. At this point, I was sat up. I was incredibly nervous, and my mind was racing at this point about, like, what is he going to do to him? How is this going to go down? Because there's so many ways that this could have gone. Where were you at when Theo arrives and there's an atmosphere?
I was like biting the couch cushion, I'll be honest. I was terrified. Because we know that he knows that he doesn't know that we know, and we know. I was terrified. Because I don't know about you, but I was getting really frustrated with Sonny at this point. Because as much as I love Sonny as a character, complicated, messy, good heart, though, I think, generally. I really like him. He was frustrating the hell out of me with his bloody inability to text anybody. He kept ringing and leaving voicemails. Give me a call, Theo. No, that's not a heads up. I would have, if that had been you, if you'd been shagging some Riverboy's side piece or whatever, and I knew you were in danger, I wouldn't have just called you and gone, "Hey, give us a ring back. Need to chat to you about your side piece." You know, I wouldn't have done that. I'd have been texting you going, "Danger, SOS, don't go. River Boys, they want to kill you." You know what I mean? I would have been, but he didn't do that, and I was so frustrated. But because he's walking into a trap, and because we know that he knows, and we know that Lacey knows that he knows, but Theo's absolutely bloody clueless because Sonny didn't give him a heads up properly.
Yeah.
This made me feel sick, sorry. I was like, I couldn't sit down.
No, I felt the same, and the music and the danger. These guys feel dangerous, you know, and it's just been, it's been so well executed. You can't help but be on the edge of your seat.
Yes,
you know, and Theo's on the whole is quite a loved character as well. So there is peril. It's someone that we've learned a lot about, and we've gone through things, and we've got an affiliation. We've got an affiliation with him, and we've got a reason to root for him and not want him to be murdered. You know, it's not just a guestie.
Yes.
So the stakes were high. I do agree with Sonny and his blooming phone. Do you know what? See, years ago, and I've shared this before, so I won't go into too much detail, but years ago, when I'm talking 20 years ago, when phones weren't really, like, it took a while for them to become everyday use in soaps, didn't it? And I used to call it lazy writing when a phone was used in a soap rather than having a scene.
Oh, I quite like it because I think that's normal.
Now phones are part of our everyday blooming life. Yeah, it makes sense. You can't. It would be weird if you didn't now. Do you know what I mean? So I'm at peace with it. But in the early noughties, it used to bug me. However, right, if you're going to use the phone, at least give me a reason why you can't get through to him. So he's ringing him, and obviously he's not picking the phone. Just explain to me that Theo's number's out of range, and you've tried ringing him and texting him because that's what any normal, sane human would do. In fact, you'd go to text before. Who's calling anybody?
Well, this is the thing. Like, it was the night before. That's the problem. So he was in Salt, and Lacey was at the bar.
That's true.
The night before this happened, and he passed his phone over, didn't he? Like, sort of, because he knew that Gage was watching. He's like, put your number in my phone. I thought that was quite suave. Like, I was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And then obviously he must have got her number somehow. We don't know how, because that was off screen, not explained, because she texted him later on, didn't she? So she must have had his number as well as giving her number to him. So I was like, okay, so he's had all night. He knows where Theo lives because he bloody lived there himself. He could have gone round and said, I need to talk to you, mate, not just text him, He's had all night to text him and say, you're in danger, whatever. Theo could have seen that the minute he got... Because Justin was like, oh, yeah, we got up early, didn't see him, heard his car leave, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, but even if Sonny had texted him, don't go and meet Gage. Gage knows about you and Lacey. he would have seen that before he left the house, but he didn't. He just left the bloody
Yeah.
voicemail going, "Give us a call, mate. It's
Yeah.
about Lacey." It could have been
Yeah.
anything.
I know. And it all hangs on Sonny not really knowing for sure.
Mm.
And that's what it's relying on. It doesn't work, does it? It doesn't work
It's
because he would still
unbelievable.
share, though. He'd still share that
Yeah.
concern, wouldn't he?
It's
And he'd find a
unbelievable
way.
in 2025 that he wouldn't have texted as well and said, "You need to call me. It's about Lacey and it's urgent."
Yeah. Instead, the plot had to have him miss all the warnings, drive up there right into his death, didn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So yes, well, let's try and put it aside. But it is annoying. I concur. Sonny's there, and Lacey at this point isn't aware for sure either that Gage knows until she's like, don't hurt him. And Gage pulls her aside, doesn't he, and says, I know about you too. However, Lacey's lack of action, she doesn't run for help. She doesn't try and get out of there. She doesn't try and talk to one of the others and be like, try and stop him. Or, she's not. But is that because she's seen what could happen to her? Do you know what I mean? You don't know, do you?
Yeah.
There's a lot here where you do have to fill it in with your own imagination. Okay.
You can't. I'm imagining that Gage, if he gets hands-on with other people, he's probably been hands-on with her in the past.
Yeah. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Yeah. There's a reason that she won't react or stand up to him. Basically.
Yeah.
Theo is strapped up and he's put underneath his own car, which has been on one of those risers. For the mechanics, and then it's I know all about you, you dirty little boy. Me and my missus, you put your end on my missus, and he starts lowering the car onto him, doesn't he? And he's screaming for help. Now, obviously, crucial as you mentioned, Lacey's got his number, so she drops a pin and sends it to Sonny. SOS, la 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 la. Sends a location to Sonny. Sonny goes running up there yet again, only using voice call to try and inform anybody. Now, this is on the backdrop of Justin getting worried. Everyone's looking around the bay because Theo's been missing and Justin's been lied to about it, hasn't he? And there's that going on, the blame game of Sonny and who's led him Theo astray, and all that's been going on in the bay. And I told you these episodes are dense, like there isn't any scene that's just like there just to waste time at the minute, and there's just so much going on in the bay and locate, at the garage.
I think this was a shame, actually, because I think there has been a couple of balls dropped, and I'll explain more about this on Your Send the Bay later because the other people have noticed. But we needed a bit more filler in some of these scenes. We need, Remy and Sonny went down to the police station to talk to Cash to fill him in because they were worried about Theo when he's missing and no one knows where he is and he's off grid and he's not answering his phone and blah, blah, blah. And he might be in danger because Gage knows and whatever. So Remy takes Sonny down to the police station to talk to Cash about it, and he doesn't give him half the information. Sonny's been to 2 Riverboy hangouts. He's been to the garage lockup thing where Theo initially went with him and worked on a car. He's been to the racetrack, which I think is a different place to the lockup, and he's been there with him. He knows where that is. He didn't give that information to Cash, who's frustratingly, his tracker has been somehow sent back.
Oh my god, I absolutely loved that.
It was insane. He was like, oh, give me a trace on the tracker that I put in his car, and then 5 minutes later he's opening the parcel to Cash.
I loved it. I've written in my notes here because they're all frantically at the police station, aren't they? And he's at it. Don't panic. Nobody panic. Theo's going to be fine. I've got a tracker on the car. Until he opens the post. I just thought, this is brilliant.
I was texting you. I was like, how has he found it? And he sent the tracker back to Cash. Because it went on ad break, didn't it? And I was like, oh my god, has he sent the tracker back to him? Like, what the hell? This is hilarious. How did he find it? You know, some of this stuff has not been filled. The blanks I could have done with some of the
There's
blanks being
loads.
filled in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's loads of stuff that you've got to sort of piece together yourself.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Rushed,
it's a
I would
shame.
say.
It's a shame, isn't it? Because I would have loved some more of these scenes being kind of like, you know, made a bit longer and a bit more spelled out. I need stuff spelling out. I'm not very smart. So, you know, I would have loved to have seen Sonny tell Cash, I've been to the racetrack. He's you know, this is how it happened. We went to hang out with them. We didn't realise they were River Boys. It wasn't until later, after we'd been there and Theo had seen the tattoos, and he'd explained to me later the tattoos meant this and the bad guys and blah blah blah. And then I warned Theo not to get involved, but he went anyway because he's in love with this girl. And you know, he left all of that out, and I was like, I needed a bit more of an explanation. It's like Remy knows and Sonny knows, but none of them mentioned anything in that room with Cash. They didn't give him enough information to be able to go on. So Cash is there going, yeah, I'll check the tracker and I'll see where he is. And he's like, oh yeah, brilliant. Okay, do that then. I don't need to tell you where they are, even though I know and I've been there. That frustrated me.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I had to Jenny it.
I think by this stage for me, I was just like finding the fun and the joy in this now, because I was like, it's actually gone so far beyond a couple of plot holes, which you'd expect in this kind of show. It's gone so far beyond it that I just have to look at the ridiculousness now. And maybe that's done itself a disservice because it takes you out of the story a bit.
It does, and I think it's
when you start poking at it.
I think I could have jennied it more. I could have gone with it more if there wasn't a massive gaping hole about the rescue later on. Because the fact that we didn't see the rescue made me wonder, well, how on earth did Cash find out they were there then? Because the tracker's in the police station, so if he tries to track it, it's in the police station. He's tracking himself, not Gage. So how did he find out? You know, because the last time we saw Sonny, he was passed out on the floor.
He left him a voicemail, didn't he?
Yeah, but he said, Lacey's sent me a location, didn't send it to Cash.
Well, do you want to decide that he did, and then we can be at peace?
I don't think he did though, because Cash read it and he was like, "Oh, I don't know what to do." Like he just called Sonny back, and his phone was ringing on the floor, and I was like,
"Yeah,
I know it takes hours to trace a mobile phone, so how on earth?"
Yeah.
Did
the
they
next
get
time,
found?
well, and. Yeah, you're right. And found, rescued, you name it. Because let's get to it. Theo's been crushed. He's unconscious. Sonny doesn't actually see who it is who's done it. Well, obviously, it's Gage who's lowered the
he's
car
getting
on
beaten
top.
up by a spanner outside, isn't he?
Outside, yeah, he's getting spannered. In quite a bad way as well. He's knocked out actually outside. Comes to. Goes in, Theo's crushed, the buttons have been smashed, so then you're like, well, they must have wenched that up with equipment that we didn't see. Yeah. He's outside, he's clamoring for his phone and makes this phone call. Next thing, we're at the hospital. We don't see anything. Like you say, that it's like fade to black, stuff's gone down. And the next thing, we're at the hospital, and Theo's got he's got a nice little purple bruise on his chest. I was expecting, like, mincemeat me.
Yeah.
Do
you remember that book, Flat Stanley? Did you ever read that as a child? Me and my brother absolutely loved that book. That's what I was expecting. Like, literally, like he's been rolled through a pasta machine. That's what I was expecting.
I thought it was going to be all mangled.
I really thought it was going to be like pasta, you know, tagliatelle or whatever it's called, through the pasta machine. That's what I was expecting. But also on Thursday night, you know, when it ended on, like the episode ended on Thursday night, and I was like, oh my God. What we saw was Theo trapped under the car, you know, like sacrificed like Jesus. Like, it looks like he's about to be, like, crucified underneath his car. Then the car's lowered on him.
It is a bit biblical, yeah.
the buttons are smashed, so we know we can't lift the car off him easily. Like, how are we going to get the car off this guy? And then Sonny's collapsed in the doorway, nowhere near his phone. And I was like, oh my God, I can't wait for Friday. And like literally poured a glass of wine as I sat down. I was like, I cannot wait for this episode. Episode started and they're in hospital. And I was like, wait. I need to know. But the reason why I got so excited was I needed to know how they got rescued. I feel like I've been shortchanged here.
Yeah.
How did they get out of this situation? How did
I
they
hope,
end up at the hospital?
Who
Who rescued them? How?
Just having a thought. I hope we weren't Channel 5 edited.
Oh, God. Right. I will check the Aussie version over the weekend.
Yeah. Just make sure we haven't missed a ridiculous scene that they've got rid of.
Yeah, that's true.
If it's that, we can sleep in peace. But if it's not, then shame on you people.
If they've edited it, then I'm going to riot. I'm going down to Channel 5.
And if they haven't, we're going to riot anyway because they didn't tell us how we were saved. So either way, we're going to war.
How come I can watch 3 days of Harper gurning and I can't watch Theo being rescued? Come on. That's not on.
No. Now he's got a bit of fluid round his heart, so there's he's in a bit of a bad way. He's having to have an operation. Justin's having. I did enjoy the scenes where Justin and Sonny are at loggerheads. I did quite enjoy that, and Remy's having to inform him of his nephew's shenanigans that got him there himself. He sort of put Justin. I don't know what it is. I do quite like Justin when he's being put in his place. And I've not put my finger on what it is that I like about it when it's happening.
He goes off half cocked, and he's got that. He has got anger management issues, but I also
diagnosed.
Diagnosed, doll. He went to the therapy. I also feel kind of sorry for Justin because not only did they not tell Cash the full story, but they didn't tell Justin the full story.
Yeah, that was a bit wrong, wasn't it?
If you're going to tell him something, tell him the whole thing. Because he basically said Theo's involved with the River Boys. Theo's been doing the drag race in the dodgy parts. They left out the Lacey bit. That's the most dangerous part of the whole thing.
Yeah,
he's shagging Gage's girlfriend. That's the danger, not the racing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
and that got him in hospital with a bruise on his chest.
Exactly, but the drama of it coming out later was quite delicious, though.
That's true. I did like the hospital show. I love a hospital showdown in the waiting room.
It's been a while since I've been at the hospital as well, so I'm quite glad to be back there. Familiar territory.
Yeah, I have a theory about this. I feel like when the Summer Bay house set is up, the hospital is down.
Oh my God! I think you're right.
And then there's no space, and I feel like when the hospital's up, we're never at Summer Bay House, are we?
That is, oh my God, I think you're right. Yeah, because Marilyn's moved out.
Yeah,
we've
not been
in
there,
the bush. Then. We've been in the bush with Eliza and Harper, but we've not been home with them yet. We've been in Salt with them, haven't we?
Yeah, Rue, Alf, and Maz were just sat in the diner all day.
And then in Salt, after the birth, they were sat in Salt having dinner. Yes, you're right.
We didn't see them at home. Yeah.
Oh,
they're both quite big, aren't they, as sets? Like, I think
I'm writing this down. I'm going to have to watch this.
I think I'm on the money. As house sets go, Summer Bay House is the biggest set, isn't it?
It's
the biggest house.
That kitchen, living room, laundry room area.
We've had the stairs recently.
The stairs,
so I think it's all been took down.
We've had the bedroom
hospital's
as well.
Been, yeah. And then now the hospital's back up.
I'm writing this down. If I see a scene where it goes Summer Bay House to hospital, I'm gonna.
Oh, it's just gonna blow me up. Blow the whole thing out of the water.
There we go.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, So Cash is on the case, isn't he?
Supposedly.
Yeah. Sonny's in a bad way as well. Actually, he's been resisting his checkup, but he's been pinned to the ground. He's writhing around in pain, and he's got injuries, more injuries than we thought. perhaps Justin will gain a bit of sympathy now. He knows a bit more of the truth, and he's seen how bad Sonny ended up with those injuries through trying to help and save Theo's life.
Yeah.
So we'll see how grateful Theo is if and when he wakes up.
Well, this is the thing that I'm worried about. What if he doesn't wake up? I actually feel really bad for Sonny right now because Justin has totally tarred him with being responsible for everything that happened in this story. It's
Yeah.
Sonny's fault. He's wrong, and I've got no time for him. Blah blah blah. Having to go at Remy. It's been really nice, actually, considering Sonny kissed his girlfriend recently, which is a big fat no. It's been actually really nice to see Remy standing up for Sonny because they've known each other for so long, and
Yeah.
I feel like as someone that's known a person for that long, since college days, school days, whatever they do to you, you know that they're a good person. And he's seen that he's tried to help Theo and how worried he's been and everything. So it was really nice to see. I'm hoping the rift between Remy and Sonny is healing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
of this.
I actually think that will that'll sort of move them as players against Justin. It will be very interesting now. Justin being usually in with the band, right?
True.
Friend of band. Now he's managing Kirby, who lives with Remy, and if they're arch enemies now, and it'd be interesting to see where that unfolds. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But it was nice to see, Remy sticking up for his, longest mate, I think, longest known mate that we know about anyway.
Yeah.
Beyond Eden.
It helps us get on board with Sonny. It can't do any harm at this stage, can it?
I was going to ask you, how do you feel about him as a character? What's your thoughts on Sonny?
I'm definitely warming to him. I think, like you said earlier, he's got a heart. Like he's got that warmth to him. I think we know his backstory quite early on, which helps. It helps. He's not this. He's not this two-dimensional person that's just annoying you. Which gives me an indication that he's probably going to stick around because we're already fleshed him out. He's got ties to the Bay. I like him. I think I like him more now I know he's not trying to steal Remy's money because I was just hung up on that for weeks.
Is he not though? Is he not though? Or is that the long term plan?
Have I let my guard down? I don't know.
I don't know. In terms of like his motive for being around, I'm still not sure what his motive was for coming and hanging out with Remy in the first place. So I'm still a little bit suspect of that. But like you, I actually really like him. I think he suits the show.
I know what you mean when you say that, actually. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. He's just slotted in like he's always lived there.
Yeah, definitely. He's really likable. Like, he's frustrating, but I think that makes a really good character because you don't want the one-dimensional, easygoing, nothing happens to them character. I quite like the fact that he's flawed, and I quite like the fact that I understand his flaws as well. Like, they're understandable, and it's relatable in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what, I did notice. I did clock that Sonny took his top off at the hospital.
Yeah, I clocked that too.
Did you clock that Theo was dressed though?
Oh no,
which is unusual.
I didn't. I clocked the top off, and I clocked Dana looking at the top off.
Yeah. Well, I still need to thaw with that department. But yeah, unusually so, Theo was gowned up in bed. Now the men normally are they?
Was he? Because they were doing that thing on his chest where they were getting the blood out of his heart.
Yeah. After that, after his op, he was gowned up.
Was he? Oh, was that because they couldn't be bothered to put a scar?
Yeah, must be. Yeah, must be. Yeah. Up until the ARP, he was, we saw the bruising, didn't we?
Yes.
But after that, he was gowned up. Yeah, and I thought,
I didn't notice that.
So, can we go back to Sonny, please?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Sonny was being tended to by Dana. Because these two have had a couple of near misses.
Yeah,
let's put it that way.
Bar.
At the bar, she's been a bit too drunk to consent. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And he's got dragged away by somebody going, you don't want to talk to this guy. He's bad news. And yet here they are in the hospital. I think there's a Florence Nightingale effect about to happen. You know, she's caring for him. He's in a bad way. He's got his top off. He's looking quite handsome. He's all beaten up, which is, you know, kind of hot. And I'm sorry, Si, but you're going to have to get your head around this. I think these two are going to hook up. The writing's on the wall for them, I think.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
I'll try and work on it. I think I'm a bit defensive of Dana, and I probably need to stop being so protective.
Right, Si, do you want to hear what the people think?
I certainly do.
Because we've been talking about what we think about Home and Away, but I have been digging through social medias. I'm still calling it social medias. Thank you, JP. I've been reading comments and reactions from people who have watched Home and Away in the UK this week. I've been grabbing comments from Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and you name it. A quick reminder, those of you that have social medias, we are on social media ourselves. So Coastal News Podcast at Coastal News Pod, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, Twitter, Blue Sky. Is that everywhere we are? I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah, sounds like it.
Sounds like it. We also do a tweet along. So if you watch the show at 6:30 till 7 p.m. Monday to Friday, as we do, First Look Pace, we jump on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and we use the hashtag Home and Away UK. And lots of people are joining the discussion online. So if you were around at that time and you want to talk to other people about what you think of the show and everything that's happening in the show at the moment, jump on Twitter or X and use that hashtag and come and talk to us. If you don't use social media, you're okay, because we also have an email address, don't we, Si?
Ooh, we do.
I know you love an email. coastalnewspod@gmail.com. So email us, tell us your thoughts, and we might just read them out or discuss them on Your Say on the Bay, which is this segment of the podcast. So this week we had a really, really nice message from Fiona on, I think it was on Instagram this came through. So Fiona says, "Hey guys, I've been listening to you for about 2 years now." I don't know whether
That's a commitment.
Apologize or what when you say I'm sorry. 2 years.
Thanks, Fiona. One of the
Thank
OGs.
you. It's amazing. Fiona says, "Love the podcast and how you both get to chat about the show with each other. I think I'm the only person in my age group that still watches it." Well, I think, still watches it means the age group is probably nearer our age group bracket. And that's how you and I got to be friendly, because I felt like I was the only one in my age bracket that's watched the show.
We've when we were talking about our reasoning for doing this as well, it was about sort of bringing people together, wasn't it, and chatting about it. So it's done its job, Fiona.
Amazing. Yeah.
Glad you found us.
Absolutely. And this is what we're here for. Like I was saying to you, wasn't I? Like I felt like before I found you, I was sat on the sofa talking to myself, not having anyone to discuss what was happening Home and Away. And then I jumped on Twitter, looked at the hashtag, and I found you and your account. And that's how we made friends, because I was like, oh my God, someone else that watches Home and Away, I'm going to talk to them. You know, and that's really important, like having someone else to chat to, because you might just be sat there talking to yourself and not have anyone to bounce those ideas off. So this is exactly why we do Your Say on the Bay, so that you can all feel included in the chat, and you're not the only one watching the show, promise. So Fiona says, my say on the first 2 episodes of the week, so this is up till Tuesday night. Fiona says, "I noticed a while ago now that Eden's blonde streaks have disappeared from her hair. She's thinking about her engagement again, plus her gushing over Cash holding a baby reminded me of your conversation last week about the pregnancy storyline, and if this new look for her is foreshadowing some kind of mature life milestone for her." So we talked about this last week. We had somebody else, I can't remember who it was now, that wrote in and said, wouldn't it be interesting if Eden had a baby?
Yeah.
And, that was the storyline for this year. So Fiona's now saying, have they got rid of her blonde streaks because now she's more mature looking and she's thinking about her future and her future with Cash and getting engaged? And she was asking Cash, like, how's the baby? Was he really cute? Could babies be in the pipeline for these two?
Well, it is interesting about a change in her look, because could this be the start of the softening of Eden? Fiona calls it maturing there, doesn't she? And obviously we've got this wedding thing going on, and she's now decided she's ready. Or are we all just reading too much into the actress not wanting that in her hair?
Well, that's
but
it.
you do look at these things in a more analytical way, don't you, as a fan?
I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of contracts and stuff like that, but if I want to change, I mean, I've got pink hair, so if I want to change my hair color, and it's in my contract to change, like I can't change it or whatever. I don't know. Where does your contract specify that you have to have, for continuity point of view, you have to have the same look as you always have? Or
I'd imagine so. We joke, don't we, about all the actors who leave have a drastic hairdo. So there's going to be stipulations, isn't there, around that sort of thing? I suppose the bonus of it is your hair would be done at work. You don't have to pay to have it done.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, don't know.
But yeah, it's interesting. If it's a deliberate style choice, let's keep our eye on her clothing, Fiona. Let's see if it all starts to change as well.
Yeah, that's
it'd
true.
be interesting.
I don't, because with hair, we don't know how much it's the actor or the character.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
Well, we just don't know, do we?
Yeah, you don't know. It's interesting. Emma also emailed us, regular Emma. Hi, Emma.
Hello.
Emma says Kirby was a bit of a prick.
Yeah. Yes.
Bit of a prick. After her social media photos with Marley, which were edited, remember the protest? We do. Remember the protest. And now she's a focus in a magazine and was totally OTT and white lies. Yeah.
That's a good point, actually. She fought quite hard. Do you know what? That hadn't crossed her mind.
Yeah.
But she fought quite hard about being truthful and authentic and honest, and then went and lied and tried to present herself as something she's not.
And also, we don't know, she's got no control over this magazine and the article, and she's kind of freaking out about that because Justin's tried to sort of rein it back and say, "Oh, don't print the bit about her being fired." And this guy's gone, "No, I'm going to go with it." Like I was moved, I think was the word, by her story. What if they try and edit her again in this article? Like, you'd be a bit more wary, wouldn't you, the second time round?
You would, yeah, but she's being a prick.
Yeah. Well, you can't argue with that, can you? Let's be honest.
No, and she'll probably deserve it.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, I guess we have to see. Emma goes on to say, I love the lightheartedness for Eden caught trying on her old engagement ring and Cash walking in. Also, without her stripy front of her hair, she looks very much like the actress who plays Victoria Sugden in Emmerdale. I don't know who that is. I don't
Wouldn't
watch
know,
Emmerdale.
Dal.
No,
wouldn't know, Dal. But everyone is clocking the hair.
Everyone's noticing the hair stripes.
Yeah.
I don't think I did actually until people, actually spelled it out to me. But yeah, I'm not sure I actually noticed. Right. So big topic. Last week, the week before, and probably the week before that as well. A big topic for your Sand the Bay has been Eliza and Harper. But this week, obviously, Eliza, Harper, and the birth again. It's spilled into the second week, hasn't it? Of these kind of scenes, not just the birth, but the aftermath of this, and Eliza with the video and everything else. So lots of people are talking about this online. So Julie says, I didn't realize Eliza was videoing her. She is so sadistic. Harper's making this look very realistic, though. It's bringing back painful memories for me. So this is harping back to the fact that I think Harper's done a really good job. Jess Redmayne's done a really good job of this labour storyline. I've not been in labour myself, but when I'm watching her, I'm like, this is believable. She looks like she's in pain.
Yeah, and do you know what? We've got a lot of years of watching soaps and births under our belts, haven't we, to compare it to?
Yeah.
I would say it was probably one of the better ones.
It was. She did look like she looked terrified. Like her eyes were screaming terrified, and she looked like she was in pain. She kept saying, "I need a C-section." Like the obstetrician said, "I need a C-section." I believed the fear, behind the eyes and everything. I thought she did really well on this. But Julie's saying Eliza's sadistic. Do we think it's that? Do we think it's sadism, sadistic? Is she enjoying this?
Seems a bit strong. Enjoyment's a strange one with me. It doesn't sit in enjoyment for me. It sits in like she's really, when you become what's not numb to something, but when you just become so used to something that you're not. It's not climatized, is it? What's the
It's
word
like
I'm looking for?
nonchalant, isn't it?
Yeah, she's so sort of conditioned herself into this stuff is normal to her.
Yeah, which is scary, isn't it?
She even says when she's done the video and she's showing the video to Rue, like, I didn't want to miss anything. Like it's like us would be with the next episode of Homer's,
Yeah.
Yeah. Sadistic.
Detached?
Yes, that's a good word. She doesn't understand the gravitas of it at all.
No.
She just nearly died, and it was at your hand.
Yeah.
And that's just not even on her radar, is it?
She's not even trying to hide it. Like the fact that she showed Rue the video, like, oh look, I've got a video of her giving birth. Like she doesn't realise that that's not cool.
She doesn't understand it, does she? There's a disconnect there between what reality is and what she thinks.
Because if you know that that's a bit weird, you wouldn't show somebody that willingly, would you?
No, it'd be your little secret.
Yeah. She's a strange one. I can't quite put my finger on Eliza at all, really. I'll be honest. Bit odd. Mr. David says Harper is lucky it's Levi and not Bree. The latter would probably bring her drill.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's true. And then he also goes on to say that Eliza would be like one of those old women who knitted by the guillotine during the French Revolution. Yeah, it's not far off actually. She kind of, it's entertainment, isn't it, for her? She's like, oh, I'm enjoying this. Like her reaction of it, like Rue was like, oh, that must have been really scary. She was like, no, it was exciting. It's exciting. That's the word she used. It was exciting, even though someone could have died right in front of her. It was exciting, not scary.
And look, like none of us are like her, so
no,
we can't really relate to it. So therefore, she feels like this weird being.
She does.
That that you're just thinking. Every time she opens her mouth, she says something that's even more unbelievable.
Yes,
because none of us think like that.
No. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
She's a fantastic character. She's so fascinating.
She's fascinating. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Victoria Krankenwagen on Twitter says, I bet Eliza is fuming. There's much less blood and gore than she hoped for. She also says, you just know that she's got plans to upload the video onto the dark web. That made me laugh. Yeah, I can imagine her doing that. But to be honest, I don't think I don't think she realizes how serious it is.
No, she hasn't got a clue. It's normal.
I think she put it on TikTok, not the dark web. I think she just think it was,
brazen.
Yeah. She's got no shame about it. She's easily showing people and admitting it. So yeah. Julie says Eliza will be fuming because she's missing all the action and drama at the hospital. Yeah, that's where the drama happened, I think. With Harper fainting and the blood going down her leg because she was hemorrhaging and all that.
Yeah.
And Eliza had sort of said to Rue, let's go to the hospital. And Rue was like, no, leave them alone. We'll go tomorrow.
She did want to be there, didn't she? She's got FOMO.
Yeah. So if she finds out there was some drama at the hospital, perhaps she would be like, damn it, I missed it. And I want to see Levi in action. I want to ask him questions about how he knew she was hemorrhaging and how much blood came out and did it hurt and blah, blah, blah. All the weird questions she asks. Yeah, definitely. Mark on Facebook is a bit more worried about Eliza, to be honest, than just the surface level stuff that we were talking about. So Mark says, I wonder what really happened to Eliza when she was younger that made her like how she is. It must be something bad. This is what you were saying last week. Like for her to stand up to Mr. Stewart when Mr. Stewart's in a rage, you were saying last week she must have gone through worse for this to not even affect her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think
She's
Mark's saying the same.
she's a product of her environment, isn't she?
Mm.
What Mark reminds me as well, which is something that's easily forget, is that we have been told very little.
Mm.
And
Yes.
Mark's like, yeah, come on, tell me.
Yeah.
You know, we need to know how she got like this.
Why is she like that? Yeah.
Yeah, this explanation better be good. We've invested so much time into this.
Literally weeks now. Come on. We need to know. We need to know.
Oh.
Not just us, but everyone on Your Say in the Bay. I've been reading these comments out for weeks now, and everyone wants to know what is the deal
When we
with
get
it.
to the end of the podcast year and we're wrapping up the season and we're looking back at the main thread being this blooming weird girl like that we wasted hours on.
Yeah.
We want it to be worthwhile, don't we?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. We'll see. We'll see. Let's circle back to this in November. Yes. Someone replied to Mark on Facebook. It was someone called Marilyn, actually, which is quite interesting.
Marilyn, not the Marilyn.
Not the Marilyn, but Marilyn Dickens on Facebook said to Mark, "Some people are just born evil."
Yeah.
Not sure. Not sure.
No, I don't
can't quite put
agree
my
with
finger
that.
out. I don't know where she is. I don't know whether she's in need of help or beyond
It's
help.
funny. There was a bit of a nod to that kind of comment this week when Marilyn is talking about the baby and she says, I've just been thinking about Eliza, how she would have been
Yes.
a cute little baby one day. She's a product of her experience of life. I don't think she was born evil. I don't agree with that, you know.
Yes. It's difficult to know there because, like you say, we've not been given enough information either way, so we don't know.
Aren't we all born the same?
You'd think so. I don't know. But Jane on Facebook says, I call her Damien. Like The Omen. Have you seen The Omen? Yeah.
Yeah.
I call her Damien. So I think Jane thinks she probably is a bit evil, to be honest, with that comment. But there we go. Shelley on Facebook says she's such a good actress. Her timing, even the micro emotions are so creepy and sinister. I hope if she ever sees all these comments, she knows the fact that everyone's saying this because they hate to love Eliza or love to hate Eliza. And it's because she's such a great actress and we like her, but not Eliza. She can leave Eliza locked away somewhere. Shudders. So there's loads of comments like this, and I've been reading them out for weeks and weeks, that she's playing even if people don't like the storyline, even if people don't like Eliza, which you're not really supposed to like her, I don't think.
That's the point, yeah.
She's a bloody good actress for portraying this really complicated character, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I like these comments on where we see them where people are saying, she's really good, because someone else on Facebook, Anne, says, I'm raging with Eliza, but what a great believable actress she is. You know, might not enjoy the storyline, might not enjoy the actor or the character, but can see that she's playing it really well, and I think that's important.
And I love that feedback for her, because it's been an absolute tsunami of it.
Yes,
you know.
Yeah.
Whatever you think of the character,
Yes.
and sometimes soap audiences mix the two, don't they? They don't always differ.
We've done that with Harper. A lot of the stuff I've seen with Harper on Facebook has been not as complimentary because they don't like the character and they go after the actor because of it.
Yeah, well,
that's
quite
harsh.
Famously, she had to do a video, didn't she, about all that stuff. And again, I think Jessica Redmayne is a stunning actress. I think she's done a fab job.
Yeah.
But it's warming and reassuring to know that the audience are getting this Eliza chick, and they're understanding what a fantastic job this young girl's doing.
Yes.
There are people twice, thrice her age that would kill to have a reaction like this to one of their characters.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's testament to her portrayal of it. Even people that aren't enjoying the storyline are saying she's really, really good.
And the guys who have written this character, right? Like, they've written her this way. Like, the girl is, she's reading the page. Like, this is a really novel. They've brought this character in that's a breath of fresh air.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Right, I think that's pretty much all my tweets and comments about
Lovely.
Eliza. So should we
Mm.
move on to Judgy Ruru?
Oh God, if we must.
Because we've been calling her Judgy Ruru for 2 years.
And then some. Come
And then
on.
some. But I feel like people are finally seeing what we've seen. I feel like they're finally on board with how judgy Rue is and how annoying she is. Because Tweety Tie on Twitter this week says, I feel very strongly about feeling like Rue is a really terrible person. I feel like I could have written that myself. Yeah, she's a really terrible person. I've been saying this for a couple of years now. She's horrible. She's vile to Marilyn. Yeah, I don't know how else to describe it, really. She's just...
You can't defend it, can you?
No.
You know.
No, you can't.
You thought this was going to be the return of her, but
I was
not to
hoping
be.
so, because I've been slagging this character off for 2 years and saying, love Georgie Parker, but Rue as a character is... Oh, she's just awful. She's horrible. You know, she's judgy, she's mean, she's reactive, jealous, whatever, you know, all the kind of negative stuff. And I thought, okay, 2025 is the redemption story of Rue. She's going to foster a child, turn them around, and it's going to be the making of her. And so far, she's just judgy Ruru character, you know, just as normal. Not changed my mind, but there we go. Mr. David says, as great as it is to see Rue get a juicy storyline, hopefully next time the writers will work on giving her a halfway decent personality.
Oh God.
You know what I mean? Everyone's sort of getting around to our way of thinking.
Yeah.
Si.
Yeah.
I feel like we pioneered this.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it the coastal news effect?
I think it is. I think we pioneered this, like, turning of the tide. Definitely. Talking of turning the tide and terrible people, how about Tane? Because this week...
This is all on you, but go on.
Everyone's been a bit complimentary towards Tane or feeling bad for him, as Paula says. So Paula on Twitter says, I didn't think I'd feel bad for Tane. But obviously does feel bad for Tane.
Bit like me, though. I just got swept up in the...
Easy to do. I think a lot of people did. Julie on Twitter says, yeah, a bit cruel that, considering he saved her. She's going to need the support now with the baby, now that she's recovering. Bit cruel the way that she's treated.
Did he save her, though, or did he rush there for his child?
Oh, that's the question.
Do you know what I mean?
Difficult to know the answer, really, isn't it? Who does he care about? The baby or Harper? I don't know. Je ne sais quoi, I love that, on Twitter says, damn, Tane spent all night at the hospital taking care of Archie, worrying about Harper, and she wakes up pretty as hell, tells him to leave. Get over yourself. It's about the baby, not your hurt feelings. Wow.
Damning, that comment.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it. I can see that side. I can totally see why you come down on that side. It's, that's how we feel.
I'll say it, but that you can almost argue that's where Mac was.
Yes.
And then we were saying Mac was out of order. She needs to give him a bit more time. Like, just sleep on it. You know, tomorrow's a new day. So pipe down. Give her some time. You know, she woke. Like you said, the girl had been through absolute hell. She's barely alive.
Exactly.
She's confused. She's hurt. She's come round. She's looked at him. She's the first person she's seen, and she's remembered that this guy just broke her heart not 48 hours ago.
Yeah. And that's where I feel difficult, because I know she's doing the wrong thing. I know she's, by telling him he can't see his baby, that's the wrong thing. But I also can't blame her because of the fact that she's been through so much this week. And there is a reason why she's acting like this. And for that reason, I give her the benefit of the doubt. And I say...
Do you know, if I was friend of... Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say give her a week, you know.
Yeah. You know, she'll come round eventually. The hormones must be absolutely off the rocker when you've just given birth.
Yeah.
I've got friends who have had a horrendous experience, and it all started after the birth, with that sort of stuff. So If I was a friend of Tane, my advice to him would have been, you've 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 got a son now, and think about, would you like your son to treat a lady like you've treated Harper? Just ask
Oh,
yourself that.
that's interesting. Yeah.
That'd be the advice I'd be saying to him.
And I think he wouldn't want that to happen.
No, I don't, because I think he's a decent human,
Yes.
Tane.
Yeah.
He's a good bloke deep down.
Deep down, deep down.
Yeah, core deep.
Yeah.
And I just think, I think he needs to dig deep.
Yeah.
He needs to go in and do a bit of reflection.
I think he is a good person. I just think he's not very good at putting himself in other people's shoes and trying to
Yeah.
think. He's very much like, this is what I think, so therefore it's the right conclusion to come to.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
black and white thinking, and I think he's not very good at stepping back and going, okay, but I'm not them, and they're different to me, and they think
Yeah.
different to me, and this is how they would feel, because that's...
Well, this is why his relationships don't work,
Well, yeah.
isn't it? If it's black and white, yes or no.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah.
You're never gonna have a successful relationship, are you? That way.
No.
Sometimes
Definitely.
you've got to be like, you've got to concede.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you have. Despite all of this, though, a lot of people were getting very emotional about his letter. I know you and
Yeah.
I had a very frank discussion about his letter and how I felt about it, how you felt about it. But a lot of people were getting swept up in the moment. So the letter that obviously Dana read to Harper in the hospital about, how he's feeling about the baby and how he feels about Harper and all that stuff, very mushy, very emotional. Lots of people were kind of swept up in this. So Emma Gravy Monster on Twitter says, "I'm not crying, you're crying." Julie says that was emotional.
Yeah.
Mr. David says, "I've got something in my eye." And Jamie says, "Beautiful letter from Tane there." So lots of people, swept
Acknowledging the moment.
in the emotion of it. I would have liked to have been swept up because it was a beautiful letter, and I would have liked to have been swept up in the letter and thought the same as these people that have commented. But I didn't, because I've just got a little bit of an eye on Tane, and I know I can see through his bullshit. So
yeah, fair enough. And that's why you're around to keep us all in check.
What was your gut reaction with the letter? You were feeling on the emotional side, weren't you, initially?
My very first reaction was, "Oh, give him a chance."
Yeah.
It was only sort of when I stepped back a bit, and I thought, yeah, actually,
Yeah.
he's now ended up getting access again. So
he gets what he wants.
Yeah. But in the moment, the incidental music, the voice, so the reading of the letter. Yeah, it's hard not to feel on this show, because this show knows how to make you feel. It tells you quite clearly how you should be feeling in each scene.
Yeah.
So I was in the moment with it.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh yeah, give him a chance, girl.
Yeah.
And I knew, like you say, Tane gets what he wants. I knew he wouldn't be on the naughty step for long.
It's unlikely, isn't it? I think. Yeah, definitely. What about Mac versus Dana? What do people think about that? Do you know?
Go on.
Interesting one. So Victoria Krankenwagen says, "Why is Mac lingering like a bad smell at the hospital? She barely knows Harper."
Yeah, I think she was representing Tane, though, wasn't she?
She was, yeah. But it was interesting, because I was trying to rack my brains as to... Obviously, Harper and Tane are really good friends. They hang out a lot. I like those scenes together. I like the fact that they're quite supportive of each other, and they've got the back history of her having a relationship with his brother, who's now deceased.
Yeah.
So they were family at one point. I quite like those scenes and how supportive he is of her, and
I'd
vice
agree.
versa. But at the same time, I was thinking, it's none of her business.
She's no right. Yeah.
Has she ever had many scenes with Harper? I don't know.
No. No, she's nowhere, and she's not even. You wouldn't even think she's au fait with where she's up to with the pregnancy, the operation that the Archie had.
She didn't
You
know about
know,
it, did she? Yeah.
no. Yeah, it is an odd one for them to be sticking her oar in.
No, she didn't even know about the fact that Harper had hemorrhaged and had her second operation, because she was like, "What?" And Harper said, "Did Tane not tell you?" And she goes, "Yeah,
Mac's gone up there on a high horse
yeah,
about Tane for some reason.
yeah." She does feel loyal to him. I guess that's the family connection, isn't it? All the
And I
previous
and
family
I get
connection.
I get it, but also where's your girl code?
Yes, yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah. There were a few comments about this week. So Mr. David says, wind your neck in, Mac. It's got nothing to do with you. It's between Tane and Harper, and she shouldn't and doesn't need to be involved. I think that's where I'm falling with this argument. But Julie says she's looking out for her friend, and Harper is clearly not thinking straight. I feel a bit sorry for Tane.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
felt bad for the fella. I mean, regardless of who you are, what you've done, you know, your children are your children.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's you forget that, don't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
He just doesn't help himself, does he?
True that. I tell you who else doesn't help himself, and that's Theo. Doesn't really
Nice
help himself.
segue there. Nice segue.
Doesn't help himself shagging a Riverboy's missus.
Well, no.
No,
Yeah.
really putting a target on his
I
own
hope
back
it was
there.
worth it.
I know, yeah. Put a target on your back, Theo. Come on. So somebody on Facebook said Theo is a dead man walking. Gabe will fix his car to crash, and then Bree will finally get some lines.
You said you said this not quite so eloquently. Last week you were predicting cut breaks, weren't you? And
Yeah, I mean, when we did first look last Sunday, it was saying stuff like Gage is up to no good, and Theo pays the price, and blah blah blah. And I
the
said
ultimate
to you,
prize.
the ultimate price. And I didn't. I'll be honest, I didn't hop, skip, and jump to being crucified under a car. That was that was a stretch, literally a stretch. Theo stretch. I didn't see that coming, but I did think maybe he tampers with the brakes, or like he goes, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you know, race your car, go ahead, but actually I'm going to cut the brakes before you get on the track or whatever." And obviously this person thinks the same thing. So yeah, it was out of the left field, the actual price and the actual thing that happened to Theo. I didn't see this coming. It wasn't predictable, which I like.
Yeah, same. Like I say, this is it's kept us gripped a whole way through.
Who knew that he would be crushed, sacrificed under a car? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see that.
And how we got out of it, who knows?
Well, I've got a little a small competition for people out there. So a lot of people are pissed off that we didn't get to see the rescue. So if you want to write your own rescue, so the end of the rescue that we saw was Theo underneath the car being crushed, and the hoist controls being tampered with. Sonny on the floor, passed out because of the pain, and he was trying to crawl to his phone, which was miles away. If somebody can write us that what happened between that scene and the scene where we saw Theo in the bed in hospital, we will happily read that out on the pod next week. Like, write as a little, transcript, because we're not sure what happened. But I'm open to suggestions as to how they got out of that situation, who helped them, was Cash there, who called the ambulance, etc., etc. Like,
send in your best one.
Absolutely, we'll read it out next week if anybody wants to sort of write as a script for.
Can I get in on this action?
Yes, please do. Yeah, anybody. I'm not a writer, so I will leave it up to you guys, the creatives among you, to come up with something.
Well, neither am I,
I'll
but
read it out.
give it a
No,
shot.
you're far more creative than I am, so you go for it. You go for it.
You're too kind.
No, you are, definitely. I can imagine you writing something. So please write something and I will read it out next week. And maybe if I get more than one suggestion, maybe we'll put it to a vote. What's the
Oh.
best, ending to the storyline between getting crushed and being in hospital? What happened?
This is very exciting.
It is, yeah. Definitely. Sarah 30th floor on Twitter says Gage is a decent river boy. He's actually believable, menacing, unlike some of the drongos in the gang who struggle to talk. Does she mean Spanner? Who else is on the
Quite
line?
possibly.
He is a decent river boy, actually. He's quite scary. And you and I have been texting this week. Although he's a horrible, misogynistic pig,
Oh,
he's kind of hot.
honestly, I don't know what's gone on.
There's something about a bad boy, and he is a bad boy, genuinely.
Something's clicked. He's been giving us text vibes, so I was teetering. But I'm all in. Have my babies.
Can I be godmother, please? Yeah. I'm interested in him because, like you say, he gives us more Tex vibes. I know Tex wasn't a river boy; he was a bikie.
Yeah.
But the last river boys we had were Rory and Dingo, and they weren't very scary. They were a bit juvenile, but Tex is a little bit dangerous. And although he's a misogynistic, horrible pig, is kind of hot. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Forget all this societal nonsense. Just strap me up and crush me. Yeah.
Oh dear. I'll tell you what though, Naomi on Twitter is probably rolling her eyes because Naomi says, any chance of me liking Gage just evaporated after his casual objectification of his girlfriend. I mean, it isn't nice. I don't know. I can't defend him. He's horrible.
We can't.
He's horrible. He literally said to her, like, I don't like people touching my property. And while I was horrified, I was also like, ooh. I've got a weird toxic thing to me, you know. The bad boy gene is in there somewhere. I can't help it. I don't know. Yeah.
So funny.
I'm sorry, Naomi. I get it, but I just also find it kind of.
But not today, Dal.
It's dramatic and I like it. Mr. David's got a theory. And he's not going away with this. I think this is the second time I've read this theory out. But Mr. David says, Sonny going to bat for Theo. I say there's love, non-platonic there.
People are pushing this, aren't they?
It is weird, though, isn't it? Because Sonny, I think Theo is bloody lucky to have Sonny in his corner this week. Because Sonny barely knows him.
I know.
They've not got history. They've not got decades of friendship like Sonny and Remy have. He doesn't really have to go to bat for Theo, and Theo's been a bit of a dick. Because
that's true. Although you could say, Sonny was ostracised from Remy. He was banished because he cracked onto his missus and that. So really, Theo is all Sonny's got.
But Theo does. Because he's not known him that long, and Theo kicked him out, essentially, because Sonny was like, I'm going to move out, I'm going to go to the motel. Sonny could have gone home. He could have gone back to his parents' house. He didn't have to stick around in the bay.
Yeah.
Why is he stuck around in the bay? And why does he care so much about Theo and whether Theo gets, pobbled by a river boy or not?
And are we all running with... Well, are we running with the theme that it's romantic?
I don't know whether it's romantic, but I do think he's got under his skin somehow, hasn't he? Because why would you care so much about someone that's not really treated you that well, that you don't really know very well either?
Yes. I mean, yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, I think I'm jaded because I know that it's very unlikely because of what we know about the show.
Yes.
And the network, etc., etc. I don't disagree that would be a really good story. It's a shame because the fans would go wild, the viewers would go wild. It would be great online. It's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. I mean, at the very least, Sonny would have to be bisexual because he obviously fancies Dana, and he obviously fancies Brie. Because he kissed Brie and he's been chatting Dana up, something rotten the last few times they've been together.
Well, that's another thing as well. If you were talking about on the main pod about Dana and something there, and it's going to happen, I need to get on board. How can I do that if I think he's got the feels for Theo?
He would have to be bisexual, but even if he was, I don't believe that Theo is.
No.
So it would be
one-way thing.
It would be one way and kind of heartbreaking.
And that would turn a bit sad and desperate then, wouldn't it?
Exactly. It would be heartbreaking. It would be the Harper and Tane all over again. Do you know what I mean? It would be... I've got feelings for him and he'd never look at me that way. And it would be kind of tragic, wouldn't it? I don't know. I do think it's platonic, I do. But it would be interesting because there is a bromance going on there, even if it is a platonic bromance.
Do you know what, though? If we have a really good friendship instead, I'm happy. You know what? I'm game for that.
Yeah, and I think Theo needs it because he's only really had girlfriends, not best friends,
Yeah. No, yeah.
He's had Kirby and he's had Valerie, but he's not really had a really good... He had Chloe for a bit, Nico for a bit, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. He's been sort of cocooned into his relationships, hasn't he?
Yeah. Since Ryder left, I don't think he's had a mate,
No, that's right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And he's that weird age where he's not quite as old as the rest of Lyric, but he's too old to be friends with Eliza in that kind of age group,
Yeah.
So having Sonny around, it makes sense. They seem like they're kind of the same age.
Yeah, I'm enjoying their whatever ship.
Yes. I'm going to go with bromance. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But he obviously thinks highly of him, like you say, to go out there and get beaten up for him.
Yeah.
So.
And still give a crap about him and worry about him and tell Remy, I'm worried. And you don't do that for someone you've known for a couple of weeks normally, do you?
No.
So
No.
Yeah. A lot of other people were having the same sort of conversations online as we had on the main pod about the rescue or non-rescue of Theo and Sonny, because Jamie says, didn't see Theo getting rescued. I feel shortchanged. I think that's literally what I said, isn't it, on the main pod?
Pretty much.
Shortchanged. I wanted to see it. I was hyped for Friday's episode because I thought that's where it was going to start. And it didn't. It started in hospital and I was like, what? I actually thought I'd missed something. That I just had a micro nap and gone,
It's definitely a choice, isn't it? Blimey.
It is a choice. Whether do you reckon they'll fill the blanks in next week, or do you think that's it? We won't ever know what happened.
No, I don't think we'll go back and fill it in. I think the story is going to rely on whatever is next. There's a reason we've gone through that bit so fast.
True. Yeah. True.
It's going to be Cash v River Boys is what it's going to be.
I know, which is exciting. Yeah. I guess we'll find out on First Look tomorrow. Julie says, bit of an anticlimax that. Leaves us on a cliffhanger, then skip the rescue, all over in seconds. I'm well disappointed.
Oh, everyone's feeling the same, aren't they?
Yeah, a little bit.
We got built up, didn't we, just to be dropped Friday.
Definitely. Yeah. There's a couple of comments about Sonny that I'll read out as well before we end this week's Your Say on the Base. So Mr. David says, Sonny is such a complex character. I go from liking him to finding him annoying and then liking him again. He is kind of like that. I don't find him annoying. I find his lack of being able to use a mobile phone infuriating. But I don't find him annoying. I do actually really like him. I like the fact that he's flawed, as we mentioned on the main pod. So
Yeah, I think you
Interesting.
hit the nail on the head with that he isn't a perfect all-rounder, squeaky clean, blonde hair, blue eyes. You know, he's come in and he seems to have a chip on his shoulder about his childhood and his family's, money. And he's down and out, really, when you think about it. He's no job, no mates.
Yeah.
He's come here to find a long lost mate who he knows he's got a bit of cash in the bank, and he's sponging. And he's got himself into a he's walked naively into this Riverboy sitch that he had clueless about. The guy has got nothing. And yeah, I think it makes him fascinating. And you were right saying that the best characters are the ones that are flawed deeply. I think he's going to be a big part of the show,
I hope so. I don't know whether he's a guestie or a regular character. I keep forgetting to check whether he's on the credits because I keep switching off before the trailer, so I don't see the end of it.
I think he's regular cast.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay, that's exciting. That is exciting. Good. Okay, I'm happy about that. Julie also says, I like him. Hope he stays around for a while and that they could pair him up with Dana. Now, I've been hoping for this pairing for a couple of weeks.
Well, you've told me to prepare, so...
I think it's on the cards. There's been too much foreshadowing, especially this week when she was kind of like looking after him in the hospital. He had his top off. She could barely look at him once he took his shirt off. I was like, there is something going on here. Like there is a bubbling sexual chemistry under the surface. So I think it's one to watch.
I hope to God she's sober when it happens.
Me too. Yeah, I do not want non-consenting situation, That would be awful. But if these two, went out on a little date and spent a little time together, I wouldn't be mad.
No,
definitely not. And that wraps up this week's Your Say on the Bay. So just again, thank you for your input. Without your input, there would be no Your Say on the Bay. So we love reading out your comments. Send us your comments on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it, between 6:30 and 7 p.m. Monday to Friday. Use the hashtag #HomeAndAwayUK. Or if you're not on Twitter, please send us an email, coastalnewspod@gmail.com. And we look forward to hearing your thoughts, don't we?
Please take the time to like, subscribe, and review Coastal News wherever you source your podcasts and ensure you never miss an episode.